Walk into any art store and you're met with a dazzling array of paintbrushes in every size, shape, length, and width. Unless you know exactly what kinds of effects you want to get with your brushes, it can be really overwhelming sorting through all the different types of brushes. So for this video, I wanted to share with you 6 of my favorite watercolor brushes that I like to use for realistic animal fur. Fan brushes come in many sizes and bristle textures. The one I'm showing you here is very small. It's a synthetic bristle fan brush by Princeton. It's only about a 1/2 inch wide, and the bristles are thicker in the middle and more sparse towards the outside. You can play with brush strokes all different ways using this brush. You can bounce, twist, feather, or scrub it to produce all kinds of textures. As with any specialty brush, it might take you some time to get a feel for it and figure out all the different effects that you can achieve. Practice on scrap pieces of paper before using new or unfamiliar brushes on your painting. I picked up this brush at a craft store because I was curious to see if I could use it for fuzzy fur, and sure enough, it can produce some really neat fuzzy looking marks. This is especially useful for areas of very short fur, like on the snout of a dog or a cat, but it can also make longer brush strokes similar to a fan brush, and of course you can use it for wet and wet effects and layer over the top. Quick disclaimer, with anything that is Kolinsky Sable, it's going to be a little bit more expensive as far as art supplies go, but it really can make a huge difference in your painting. This 5/8 inch flat wash is absolutely marvelous for painting areas of long, flowing fur or hair. If you're working on a larger painting, this is especially helpful, so you don't have to spend hours painting tiny individual brush strokes. These natural hair bristles hold tons of paint and water, and they separate in such a perfect way when you delicately feather the brush across the paper. Not all flat wash brushes will perform this way, but if you're looking for something similar, look for a brush that is very thick and soft. Grainer brushes are designed to produce a repetitive pattern of thin lines. The head of the brush is curved, so when you turn the brush on its sharp end, you can get almost the effect of a round brush with tapering and feathering. This brush is fantastic for creating very fine fur texture with ease, and is probably the easiest brush to learn simple fur techniques with just because it's such a precise functional design. Some of my absolute favorite brushes for the finest fur details are these gorgeous handmade bamboo handle brushes by LEBENZON. Sometimes when you're working really small, your hands might cramp up just holding a teeny brush, but not with these brushes. The thick bamboo handles are so comfortable to hold. One thing I like about this particular, it's the small brown synthetic bristle brush, is that it can come to a really fine, tiny point, or you can allow the bristles to separate almost the same way as a grainer brush. Either way, this is my go-to brush for the tiniest hairs. Even with the availability of all these different specialty brushes like grainers and fan brushes, I still tend to prefer a plain old round brush most of the time. My favorite round brushes are by Silver Black Velvet. These brushes are made with a blend of synthetic squirrel hair and black synthetic filament, and they're some of the best performing watercolor brushes on the market. Because I frequently use techniques like wet and wet or glazing, which require broader brush strokes, there's nothing so versatile as a round brush. When you flatten the brush and paint with the belly of it, you can lay down broader brush strokes, but with a little twist you can bring it right back to a nice sharp point for drawing details and adding individual brush strokes for fur texture. You can also separate the bristles and use a round brush like a grainer for broad areas requiring fine separated fur texture. If you want to learn more techniques for painting fur in watercolor, check out this video. There are also tons of tutorials that dive much deeper into the topic of painting animal fur that are included in my Watercolor Mastery membership. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can check that out. And if you have a favorite brush that you use for fur, I want to hear about it. Tell me in the comments what techniques or brushes you like to use for painting animals. We are all students after all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.